Welcome to the Creating Career Confidence Training. I'm so excited that you're here because, confidence is needed at every turning point of our lives, really. I mean, you need confidence to send email and calls to these companies and to outreach, right? You need confidence just to walk up to somebody to say, "Hey, how you doing? I'm, Kenny," right? Like you need confidence at every turn. And so in this training today, we're going to talk about what confidence is. We're going to talk about how to just feel better on our days by having more confidence. So we're more powerful in our efforts, right? We're more, we feel like we're crushing our goals and we're actually really moving the needle forward. And just really that overall quality of life and career that we're working on here. You guys hear me talk about confidence a lot because it's so important. But the thing is confidence is something that you develop. It's something that you build, and it is something that you have to summon. Believe it or not, introvert, extrovert, that don't matter. If you're an introvert or you say you are, you absolutely can bring confidence. And so we're going to dive into all of that today. And I do want to start by saying too, another thing that shapes confidence is really the belief that you have in yourself, your self-worth and how you feel about yourself and your future, right? Your sense of ability, just being connected and excited about who you are and your future and what you're actually doing with your career and what you're doing with your life. So some of this that we're going to talk about today is going to be general confidence. We will talk about how some of this pertains to the career and touring and really just being able to connect and stay clear and confident. But we got to talk about confidence in general, right? Now, confidence, it's kind of misunderstood oftentimes to be something external, like after you achieve, after you get a gig, after you get that first tour, like you'll be more confident. But that's not the case, right? Like we need to be able to step into these decisions. We need to be able to step into these tasks, these goals. We need to be able to step into our future confidently. We need to be able to develop and summon a confident mindset, right? And so confidence, the definition of confidence in this regard is your belief in your ability to figure things out, right? Like even if you haven't achieved the thing, or if the thing that you're going after completely fails, whatever it is, or doesn't work out, you still need the confidence to be able to even go and attack that thing. So it's nothing external that's going to give you confidence, somebody patting you on your back or your sports team winning or whatever it is. It's you and your belief in your own ability that you can figure things out. Like in other words, like, look, you give me enough time and resources and coaching and mentorship and study, I can achieve this career. You know what I mean? Like that's confidence. That's not to say that you already have the thing, right? Like that's confidence. It took you guys confidence to show up here in this training, right? Because you have the confidence in yourself and your self-worth and your belief in yourself and your belief in your future enough to confidently show up here to learn more about getting confidence, right? To be honest with you, one of my mentors, Brendan Burchard, was talking about the kind of deep psychological understanding of confidence is literally that sense of worth, that sense of your abilities, your belief in yourself, your belief in a future that's positive. Like all of that contributes to your confidence. But at the end of the day, it's your belief in your ability to figure things out simply. Okay. And so in order to have confidence, we need to start with ourselves. There's confidence is summoned and developed in all these different areas of our career, but it always starts with ourselves. The first thing that I want you to understand about self-confidence is having that awareness of yourself. I'll tell you right now, and I don't even know when you're watching this and who specifically is watching this, but I can promise you, you're probably way too hard on yourself. Like, you're probably way more awesome than you actually give yourself credit for. And that's the truth. You think about the self-awareness that you need to be confident, because if you do not give yourself credit for overcoming the obstacles that you have and the struggles that you've had in your life, and you don't give yourself credit for how far you've come, this is not about ego, patting yourself on the back, but if you don't do that and you don't recognize the capacity at which you've really pushed your life and moved your life forward, you will not be confident. If you do not have the awareness that you are actually a pretty awesome person. I mean, think about everything that you've done in your life. Think about everything you've done from since your childhood. Maybe you've overcame some horrific childhood of abuse. Maybe, maybe you had a really rough time in high school, in college. Like, maybe you've really created some amazing things for yourself, and you've never stopped and said, wow, like, I did that. I overcame that. If you never pat yourself on the back respectfully, self-respectfully, you will not be able to have confidence, because confidence is correlated with your belief in yourself, that sense of belief that you have the ability to figure things out. And in order to really recognize your ability to figure things out, you have to recognize that you've had a lot of challenges in your past that you've figured out, that you've made it through, right? And so I guarantee you have not given yourself enough credit for how far you've come. And so that's the first thing that you're going to really have to do, is consider the awareness that you have of yourself on how far you've actually come, okay? And another thing to that self-awareness is really taking heed of your strengths, the things that you're good at. It's so easy for us to focus on what we suck at and what we're not good at, but we have to give ourselves credit for our strengths. Like, hey, you're good at things. There's people that have told you you're good at things. They've said, man, you're a great communicator. You're really good at organization. Like, wow, like, you're good at things. Right? And so you have to give yourself credit. You have to give yourself back the sense that you have that ability, that you have some worth to you, some value to you, your self-esteem. That's what we're working on here in this confidence training. It's creating career confidence, but we need to start with actually creating confidence in general. We need to be able to get you really valuing yourself, okay? Because self-confidence is the key to turning this whole thing on. And it's not going to be some external achievement. We understand that external achievements contribute to confidence, most definitely. It is definitely evidence that you can achieve it. But the fact that you went after it is where the confidence starts and it stems from, regardless of the outcome. And so you have to be able to summon the ability of confidence, which is your ability to figure things out. Because even if the thing doesn't work out that you confidently go after, you're going to need to be able to confidently pick yourself back up and have a confident mindset to get back in the fight, right? The fight of your life. Like, that's what we're doing here. We're working on creating confidence, right? The next thing that you're going to want to consider with self-confidence is that future framing of yourself, that ambition that you actually have a future that's a positive outlook, right? Like, you want to be able to connect with this future you. We have our dreams and our goals and such, but do you actually believe that that's possible for you? And if you do believe it's possible for you, can you see it? There's a saying in personal development all the time. It's like, if you can see it, you can achieve it. Well, what that actually means is that's actually a play on confidence. That's actually a play and a practice, a way to help you develop confidence by visualization. Do this, actually. Here's a great way to understand this ambition and future framing you, all right? Visualization is a very powerful feed and fuel for confidence. And if you can, because again, confidence is what? Your belief in the ability to figure things out. It's your sense of self-worth. It's your sense and a belief in your future, right? And so close your eyes and take a few minutes first thing in the morning or right before you go to sleep and visualize yourself for 10 or 15, 20 minutes in the future, like 10 years down the road. And what are you doing? Like visualize yourself in a positive light, in a successful light. Like for me, I'm standing on stages and I'm speaking to thousands of people and help motivate and inspire them. I'm traveling around teaching my cruise fire workshops and really just empowering people. And I'm a New York Times bestseller and like all of these things, right? These things haven't happened yet. However, this will feed your confidence, because what happens if you don't have a future frame of yourself? What happens if you don't see yourself very far in the future? You don't really have a sense of belief, right? You don't really have a sense of a belief in the future you. And so there's really no reason to feel confident about anything driving you. Look, you want your dreams to energize you. And when you can visualize yourself in the future and actually achieving the things that you're after, really soaking in and feeling it, it will feed and energize your confidence. It is a very powerful exercise, but it all relates to that sense of self-worth. That means like this is for something. This isn't just for nothing, right? Like we're not just creating these touring crew careers for nothing. I see myself traveling around the world on working with some of the biggest artists, flying PAs and video walls and getting to tour manage, some really cool artists and like getting those experiences. Visualize yourself in there. That will feed your confidence, okay? And finally, the big thing with self-confidence is action, because you can motivate yourself like crazy. You can put yourself in a future frame, but and really have those positive intentions. You can really give yourself credit for how far you've came, and so you can set yourself up. But if you don't match action with intention, you will be incongruent. And congruency and confidence goes hand in hand. And let me tell you why. Because it is you basically proving to yourself that you are who you say you are. And momentum creates this confidence. You did what you said you were going to do. Regardless of the outcome, you showed up for yourself, right? Like you took actions. It doesn't matter how much action you take, but if you declare your future and you declare that you believe in your ability to figure things out and you're setting goals and you're bringing confidence, you have to get congruent with your actions. Like if you don't, you will not be confident. You will start to doubt yourself. And here's a hole that you can dig yourself into: declaring your intentions, desiring it, wanting it, and not taking actions. I'll do that email later. I'll make that call later, right? These little non-actions add up to I'm doubting myself. Well, maybe I'm not who I am. And next thing you know, you lose confidence. You lose that drive because you're incongruent with what you claim you want for your career. And so it doesn't matter the size of the action. Obviously, massive action is always really feels good and it fuels your self-worth and your sense of ability. But man, it can be as simple as, you know what? I said I was going to work out this morning and I worked out this morning, right? Like that is what I'm talking about. Action. You're like, oh, well, I want to be a healthy person. Well, in order to be a healthy person or a fit person, you have to put in the work. So then you go to exercise. Think about if you've ever said that, like, man, I want to get in shape. I want to get in shape. I want to get in shape. And then you just really didn't do it. You didn't start the thing. You didn't actually do it. Then what happens? It's like, oh man. Then you start to identify with the fact that you're not taking action. And what happens when you start to identify with the fact that you don't take action and you lose your self-worth, your self-esteem, your belief in your ability to show up for yourself, and you lose confidence. And so confidence and congruency within your intentions is key. My mentor Brendan Richard was saying that intention without initiative is just sorry hope. Think about that. Intention without initiative is just sorry hope. Meaning hope, you're just, hoping for it. You're kind of anxious. You're hoping, but like you're incongruent, and so you've lost your confidence because you haven't taken any initiative. And so it's very, very important that when you give yourself credit for how far you've came, and you're really self-aware in your strengths, when you have connected to the future and you really have put yourself in that you believe there is a positive future for you, you must take actions. You must start heading in that direction so you can show up for yourself, so you can prove to yourself that you are who you say you are. Okay. And so it's very, very, very key to be congruent in your actions. Okay. The second thing I want to bring up is your social confidence, right? Like, let's just say we're self-confident now, we're taking actions, and we're really having a good sense of self-worth, and we're really excited about our careers, and like we're pumped. But then it's like, well, we got to go to the networking gathering, or a meetup or something in the touring crew workshop or the tour management 101 program, and you have to be able to come into these social situations confidently, right? It's important that you come at these situations with confidence, because these are the people in your world that make a difference with you moving forward. It's going to require you to walk up to that production manager, that tour manager, and say, "Hi, I'm Kenny. I just wanted to introduce myself." Right? Like, you have to have that type of social confidence. Now, you might be like, "Man, Kenny, I'm an introvert," and you're like, I just don't do that. It's like, well, I'm going to explain something to you here in a minute. There's been studies done on this, and they have actually studied introverts and extroverts that were hyper successful, like people that were very high performers and people that were really confident in getting things done. And both introverts and extroverts were in the mix. It didn't matter if you were introverted or extroverted, because confidence is not an act or an achievement. It is something that you summon and you develop. Okay. And so oftentimes the introvert tells themselves that they're an introvert and I don't do that. And guess what happens? They identify with that lack, like, "Oh, well, I just don't do that." It's not the case. It's just that you haven't done that. You haven't summoned the confidence to do so. And so this might be difficult for some of you, but I just got to tell you, you guys are going to be on tour buses. You guys are going to be working in arenas and stadiums, and some of you folks might be in the merch side and retail, or the tour management, where you're dealing and working with, high profile artists and musicians. And, it's going to require you to bring confidence in your social situations. You have to, and you can absolutely develop this confidence. It's really important to really take an assessment of your style. How are you communicating? How are you showing up? Are there anxieties about your approach? Like, you really need to take an assessment of just your personality traits. These are all good. All of it is great, but you're also going to want to push yourself a little bit, especially if you claim to be an introvert. You're going to have to push yourself a little bit. I got to tell you guys, I, as extroverted as I appear, I really am a private person. I'm really quite introverted. I don't actually have a whole big, huge network or circle of friends. Like, I keep it very, 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 very small, because that's how I am. But when it comes to developing and bringing confidence to social circumstances, because I'm congruent with what I want with my career, I'm congruent with what I'm after in my goals, I will bring a more confident me. I will bring a more confident mind to my efforts. Okay. It is something that you have to be cognizant of. Okay. So how is your style? Are you one like me in these situations where I can just go and talk to anybody. By the way, it drains me so, because I don't really have a whole lot of gray areas when it comes to some of these social situations, because I consider myself a bit introvert. And so it takes everything out of me to go to these networking events and some of that stuff, because I bring it. I know that like one conversation could change my career. So I have to turn on the confidence. When I leave some of these these parties or networking events, you ask my wife, she's just like, man, are you okay? I'm like, I'm tired. I'm worn out. I'm drained, but it's because I've been able to bring a next level of confidence. Okay. And so it really is about summoning that confidence. Okay. And also in social situations, being quick to act, meaning if in your mind you go, man, I should go over there and talk to that person, go talk to that person. Again, you have to summon this in a social circumstance. Right now, I think it was tonight actually, this is when we're filming this, by the way, because I don't know when you're watching this. It is December 15th, 2022. And I think tonight was in Nashville, the Soundcheck Christmas party. And at the Soundcheck Christmas party in Nashville that they do every year, it is all the top industry professionals taking off the blacks and coming to a Christmas party with their family, with their spouses. And it is just a way to connect and hang and really just be with the Nashville community of touring event crew. You have to be able to go into a situation like that with confidence. And if you want to be able to really have those relationship conversations, could you imagine like, production and tour managers and other crew and all that, they're there with their families and stuff. What a great way to get to know somebody, introduce them to your family. Like that's a way to build relationships. These are life-changing moments, and these type of events, they happen in all the major cities around, anywhere that there's production. There is all kinds of these networking events, conferences and all kinds of stuff. You want to be able to like confidently go up and actually have those conversations. And so it's important to understand that you have to train yourself to do this. Like I wasn't always the most confident. I remember, and I'm saying this Soundcheck party because I remember that when I first moved to Nashville in 2005, I went to the party it was an invite only party. I went to it and I was so nervous. Like I was like, I was afraid and I was standing in the corner and I was just timid and like I didn't really have a lot of self-esteem or a lot of self-worth. I didn't really have a vision for my future, and I didn't really believe. I definitely was just like felt out of place. And one way that helped me, especially during that first time, was I had a friend. I had one person that I knew that basically drugged me around and introduced me to a bunch of people. However, if it wasn't for that friend, I don't know to what extent I would have connected with people. And I will say that first Soundcheck Christmas party, I connected with a camp that a couple of years later, I ended up getting an opportunity for a gig from. And so that's how critically important it is to be able to summon social confidence in those situations. So it takes practice. You have to develop social confidence. You have to just dive in to the conversation. Now, I know that like you're probably saying, look, Kenny, I'm afraid of rejection. I'm afraid to get turned down. And it's funny, I was listening to someone speak about rejection, and that was kind of like the commonality of people in these social situations. So they blame it on being an introvert, which we know that that's not true because of the studies that's done, that you can summon the confidence. But a lot of people are so afraid of rejection. They got it in their head that like they've been rejected in their lives. And so they're just really kind of don't want to be rejected, And so the guy that was talking in this speech was like, well, who in the audience have ever been rejected? So, everybody raises their hand. There's thousands of people in the audience. Of course, everybody's been rejected, right? Sometime in your life, maybe it was from your childhood or high school or college or a job, like whatever, have you been rejected? How many people have been rejected by 3 people, right? And so everyone raises their hand. Of course, everyone raises their hand. And he goes, okay, well, how many people have been rejected by 5 people? And then 7 people, and then 10 people. And then they kept going up and up and up. But what they found was the average amount of rejection that people have gotten, that like the rejection I'm talking about is like that identity-based rejection, the rejection where you put it onto your heart and it reduces your self-esteem and it reduces your confidence. Like you take that rejection on as your identity. 7 was the average number, okay? 7 people. Now, the other question was that this guy asked was, well, okay, 7 people on average in out of thousands of people really had those hardcore identity-based rejections that reduced their confidence in those social circumstances, whatever that might be, that one-on-one or group or whatever. And the other question was, well, how many of you have ever had a one-on-one conversation where you weren't rejected? And everybody, of course, raised their hand. Oh, yeah, of course. What about 3 people where you've had interactions with in a group and like you weren't rejected by those few people, right? And then they kept going up and up and up. And now, like, how about 100? Like, have you ever just been in a whole room of people and like nobody cared? Everybody was like, oh, no, you're cool, Kenny. Like, you're all good. Yeah. And there was no rejection and it was a good night, right? Or a good day. And then how many people have been in around 1,000 people, say at like a concert or something, like, and nobody cared, nobody was rejecting you, nobody was worried about you. And of course, most people raise their hand. See, here's the thing. We think about rejection in these social circumstances that in every circumstance of social interactions, it's probably going to be one of the 7 out of 1,000. Like we literally base our decision on going to talk to people based on those few people that affected us at an identity level of rejection versus the thousands. And this happens quickly in our head in these social circumstances, but it's important to understand the math behind this. The reality is you're going to not go have a potentially career-changing conversation because you feel like this person could be one of the 7 out of 1,000. Look, 7 out of 1,000 is going to stop you from going to have a career-changing conversation. It's crazy, right? And so know the math. Realize that that's what you're doing. That's what you're weighing your future up against, is that type of rejection. There are certainly more people that are a lot more, extroverted and can just walk into these circumstances and whatever and just really, go at it. Fine. But if that's not you, then you're going to want to understand these skills for social confidence is something that you have to develop. You have to train yourself. You have to summon confidence in these circumstances. And you can do that by reinforcing your understanding that if it's rejection that you're worried about, someone's going to shoo you away, or just because here's the thing, you probably are not. Actually, 7 out of 1,000 has been proven that you're not going to get rejected and it's going to probably be okay. And in fact, here's what's cool about working this muscle. And this is something that I had to do, guys. The more you get better at this, the more you can actually dominate a social circumstance. Okay. And this is where I'm at. All right. With confidence. So you can literally train yourself to bring this confidence by, yes, recognizing the fact that the math doesn't shake out for you to be worried about rejection. And the fact that as far as self-worth and all of that stuff goes and future ability, like this could literally directly change your life if you do this conversation or this outreach or this email or whatever. But really importantly, understand that if you really want to just de-escalate the nerves and anxiety right out of the gate at one of these like sound check Nashville Christmas parties, don't make it about you. You're your worst critic. And oftentimes when we go and we want to go talk to somebody, we start to think about, well, what are they going to say about us? And how they're going to think about us? And how they're going to feel about us? Well, stop making it about you and start making it about them. So something that you can do to work on this is go in social circumstances. First of all, immediately go talk to somebody, because that congruency thing. And then 2, ask them 3 questions. Ask them 3 questions about themselves. It takes it off of you and it puts them on them, right? You start making it about the other person, and then you will find that no matter what, in any circumstance, you can bring confidence because it's not about you. It's about them. Here's an example. And this is where I've worked on this for a really, really long time. We're actually later in this training going to get to see me really, really young doing something very not confidently. Okay. But not long ago, I worked with a band called Korn, and I was guitar teching for the guy named Monkey in the band. And he's one of the founding members of Korn, legend, super cool guy. And of course, you can imagine, hey, especially if you think, oh man, hopefully he likes me. Hopefully I'm coming off okay. Hopefully, I don't rub him the wrong way. Hopefully I do a good job for him. Hopefully his expectations, like all these things, right? Like you wipe all that away and you make it about him. And so I remember he called me to his dressing room to bring him a guitar. So I bring him the guitar and he asked me to do a couple of things. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, cool. So, your guitar and start, making it about him. But then here's something else that I did. I said, hey, Monkey, I'm a new dad. I seriously did this. And this is an example. Hey, Monkey, I'm a new dad. I have a 1-year-old. I know that you've got kids. You got 4 kids, right? And he's like, oh yeah. And you could just see him light up, right? Because people love to talk about themselves. And I confidently was able to actually ask a star this, an artist this, and said, hey, what advice would you give me as a new dad? And man, you should have seen it. He just lit up and he gave me this wonderful advice. He was so excited to offer this new guy. I just met this guy, right? Obviously, it goes kind of back to, also how am I coming off? Like what's my style too, but by this point, my style is confidence. And when you start making it about other people and not about you, the other person goes, wow, this person's pretty dang confident. Now you might be introverted inside like myself and going, oh God, like I'm tired already, but you will exude confidence because it's not about you. It's about the other person. And that's an example of when I worked with Korn, showing some of that confidence by making it about him. And then by the end of the tour that I did with Korn, he's asking me to come back. He's asking me to come to Bakersfield and offering me some more work. He's like, hey, can you come down to our studio in Bakersfield and like help me rebuild my rig for next year and all this stuff? All because I came with confidence. If I came with, me, and worried about how he felt about me, I would have not had the opportunity to be offered that. Now, naturally, I didn't take the opportunity because that's not where I'm headed in my career, but you can see how valuable having that confidence in those social circumstances is, right? Okay. This one is really imperative. This next one is your skills confidence, your skills mastery, and not just your skills, but your career clarity. Okay. Because they kind of go hand in hand, right? Like we can't really know what skills that we actually need to develop from an actual technical standpoint in our careers if we don't know what we're doing and where we're headed in our careers, right? At least at the levels that we're at. And so all along your career are goals and trajectory and phases. And so as long as you understand where you're at in the phase and where you're headed, you have that future framing, that belief, and you know what skills you need to get better at so you can become more capable and more proficient, because competency, which is your ability to understand and be comfortable, your competency levels with a certain skill set, goes hand in hand with confidence. The more you get clear and you understand about who you are, what you're doing, and where you're going with it, and what skills, the actual skills you need, you will bring massive confidence to the table. And when you're developing these skills, so let's kind of break this up a little bit. So let's just assume that we're in early phase. So we need to like get going with our careers and we're just getting started. And so we need to be able to bring that skills confidence, because when you have skills confidence, by the way, it shows up in your communication, in your relationships. It shows up everywhere. It also shows up in your bank account, by the way. Confidence can affect your bank account because of this, all right? And this is very, very important. It's very true, guys. So you're working to be a stagehand, or you're working to be a runner or a VIP rep somewhere that's an entry point into the start of your touring career. So if you know that that's what you have to do, right? That's where you're going. That's the direction you're headed. You're clear on that. You're confident with that. You believe that, right? The next thing you want to do is, what are the 5 skills? What are the 5 skills that you need to know to be more confident, or rather competent, in that role, that role? So if it's stagehand, like, what are the 5 skills that you need to know as a stagehand? What are the 5 skills that you need to know as a runner, as a VIP person, as a merch person, right? Maybe you're headed into an entry-level production shop. What are the 5 skills that you might need to know? Obviously, relationship building and communication. Maybe there's some actual tangible tech skills. Maybe you need to know, a certain software of like at venue or something. Maybe you need to know how to count dozens if you're a merch person. All of these things, like, what are them? And what, after you write down the top 5 skills that you need to know, what are 5 tasks that actually help you learn those skills? Because the more clear we get about the skills, like the direction, the skills we need to know, and actually how to get the skills, you will show up with freaking confidence. Clarity creates confidence. Competency creates confidence. But also, you also have to be willing, especially in the beginning, but you have to be willing to suck. Like, you have to be willing to not be good at first. And sometimes you got to be willing to suck publicly, which is what I'm going to show you guys right now. I felt like this might be appropriate. So I was one of the very first ever guitar techs on YouTube. Okay. You can see this was, let me see, dismiss this. This was 11 years ago, October 26, 2011. Okay. There were no other guitar techs on YouTube. Now, my intention was to eventually be a host, be a speaker. I didn't know so much about coaching back then, but an educator. I just really wanted to get better at doing this stuff. Now, I want to show you this to you because you have to start and you have to be willing to suck. Sometimes you want to have to be willing to suck publicly. I don't care. This one was viewed almost 3,000 times. So almost over 2,900 people saw me suck bad. And just let me just tell you, 11 years now in the future, and none of those 3,000 people have affected me whatsoever in a negative way. So just want to show this to you. I had braces, like I had adult braces. I'm just check this a little bit out.
Card tech. This is Kenny's card tech tips and tricks. Today's tip is how to use and apply Gorgamite fret and fingerboard cleaner and conditioner. I start by taking Gorgamite out of its bag.
I was chewing gum.
And I have some pre-cut pieces here. But Gorgamite comes in a pre-sealed bag. It's a pre-treated cloth. I cut it and I take it into around 1 to 2 inch squares. I then start by taking the square.
I then start by taking the square, and you see what I'm saying? Like, you have to be willing to get started, to be okay with sucking so you can grow your competency. Can you guys see from that video to now in this training how much more confident I am because of my competency with delivering messages, with sharing and presenting and hosting and training? Night and day. Now, that was 11 years ago. The sooner you get started now, skilling up, the more confident you will be. But you notice what I just did. I didn't wait till I was great. I didn't wait 11 years, right, to get good at it before I started being confident with it. No, confident. I was confident then in that video. I was confident. I was as confident as I could be relative to the competency. But now you can see I'm hyper confident. I'm very confident that I can educate and train and share, right? And so you have to be willing to suck, and you have to be willing to get started right now, building up the skills and heading in that direction. Okay. So forgive me if that was if that was rough to watch, because it kind of was for me. But I'm okay with it. It's again, it's one of those things that we talked about in the beginning of this training about patting yourself on the back on how far you overcame. By the way, I used to film those videos. I would have the monitor engineer, I would ask him, hey man, do you mind, missing your lunch break so you can come help me film some of this stuff that I was wanting to do? Even the video editing, all of that stuff, I did it myself, and I was not very good at it. But over time, I became pretty dang good at it, and I actually ended up having 4 different episodes of all different kinds of stuff. If you go to that YouTube channel, scroll all the way down, and you can watch the progression. You can see the competency grow, and the confidence continues to grow as well. Okay, because you have to summon the confidence to get started. You develop the confidence, and the momentum of the actual action and the congruency of you saying that that's where you're wanting to go, and that's what you want out of your career, and that's what you want out of your life. Though that action will continue to feed and fuel your confidence, I promise you. Another one is your service confidence, okay? And I talked a little bit about this in the social situations about social confidence, but man, when you can focus on helping others and it's not about you, you're not judging yourself, you'll bring confidence to your approach, to your rapport, to your communication. You'll bring it in everything that you do when you make it about the other people. Like right now, well, I'm looking at myself to some degree on one of the little thumbnails, but I'm not making this about me. I'm making this about you. I'm not worried about the way my tics are, or some of the things, drinking water, or my wife upstairs. Like I'm focused on delivering you guys this training of confidence because I know that it could change your life. And the reason why I'm confident about it is because it's not about me. I know this stuff, you know what I mean? But the reality is this is about you. This is actually a good point when it comes to serving others. This was a really hard one for me. It took me years to admit that I was a coach, because I was making it about me. I was like thinking, well, who am I to coach? I've had this career, but like when it comes to personal development principles, I've been personal developing myself since I'm 16. But like, who am I? I'm not like, I don't have a degree in this. I'm not a certified high performance coach or anything like that. But the thing is coaching's not about me. Coaching's about you. Coaching has nothing to do with me. I understand the principles and everything to help you get to where you need to be and set goals and achieve and develop confidence and momentum. But this is about you, right? And when you can focus on this on a service aspect, when it comes to your career, man, at every step of your career, if you want to bring confidence to the work, stop worrying about yourself. Stop worrying about what they're going to maybe think about you or whatever it is, and start focusing on how can you serve? How can you show up maybe a little early? That's serving, because you're making it about the other person. You're respecting the other person, right? Like maybe you're thinking about the customers or the clients, or maybe you're focusing on really doing a great job, right? Like this is all service based. It's not about you. And when you do this, you will come off so confidently. You will summon confidence beyond belief, because you're not in your head. You're getting out of your head and into your heart, and you're putting that out in the world confidently. Okay. So service is directly correlated with confidence. So I love that one so much. This next one is actually really, really powerful, is about controlling your schedule, controlling your time. And, on tours and gigs and stuff, sometimes these days are so long, and, you're just trying, again, like when you're just getting pulled all over the place and you're lacking focus, it's hard to be confident, especially on gig days, but on off days, it matters just as much. And so if you really want to hyper focus, or if you really want to hyper summon confidence and really develop confidence, get control of your schedule. Like, control your schedule. I remember when I was on tour, on those bus tours, like I'm the backline tech on some of that stuff, where it's like I don't have to be in till much later. And so I would take complete advantage of the schedule completely. So in between everything that I had to do, that was required and requested of me, I would make sure that I own the time in between. So in the mornings, I would get up and I would exercise out by the bus. I sometimes would do like a 45-minute insanity workout right out by the bus in the parking lots. I'm not joking. I would really just take ownership of my time, because when I can take ownership of my time, it allowed me to focus with the actual task that I had at hand, and it allowed me to be a lot more confident, because I knew what to expect, and I knew that I could actually control and shift my schedule, and I'm not just all over the place and everybody pulling at me. Like, even when there was demand, I was still in control, which brings tremendous confidence, because that means nobody can just come and steal your time away from you. It means you can say, hey, I'll schedule it in. I'm not saying that like you have to schedule every freaking second, but what I am saying is you have to schedule blocks of time to grow. And when you do that, it will feed your confidence. Okay. You guys showing up here in Crew Coach, obviously, blocking out that time to control your future, to make some steps in your future, it gives you confidence. You're like, I'm showing up, I'm controlling my time. I'm not just leaving it up to chance and circumstance. So control your schedule, and you will absolutely develop your confidence. Another one is the health confidence. I know I talked about just doing like an insanity workout by the bus, but I got to tell you, especially on tour where the hours are crazy, especially building these careers where the hours are crazy, you're showing up so early, you're leaving so late, sleep can be a little bit restless on a bus if you're not careful, but your health is so important. And so it doesn't matter how much exercise that you do. If you were to do, 2 minutes of jumping jacks and get your blood pumping every morning, that's something, right? If you were to do a longer workout, maybe on days off on the road, like whatever it is, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with exercise, because exercise, we all know how exercise is medicine for ailments, for mental health. And what happens, when you get control of your mental health, you produce confidence. When you get control of your body health and you feel physically strong, it means you're confident. Like, I'm not personally, I'm not all, six pack and bodybuilder, none of that stuff. I'm just talking about sheer energy, the drive, the energy and the drive to attack the day and to feel like we're confidently attacking our schedule, right? Like, we can go out there and serve because we are in our good fitness, our physical fitness and mental fitness. And so it's important to have a health routine, even on the road. There's no excuse. There's so many of them. And we are actually going to have a training in Crew Coach at the top of the year that is an exercise and nutrition training that I find that will be very, very valuable to help you learn a few techniques that I've been doing to really reinforce my fitness so I can be confident out there. There is nothing that feels more confident than just like feeling light, feeling fresh, feeling fit, and feeling ready for your days, and feeling in control of yourself. When you feel in control of yourself and in your body, you feel a lot more confident, And there is an acronym, and I've mentioned this in other trainings and in our audios, but the acronym is called taking your meds, M.E.D.S. Okay. And so if you ever feel your confidence dropping and you're assessing all these other things that we talk about, and guys, I know that this is a lot of information. This is a lot of strategy and a lot of tactics to be able to help you develop and summon confidence. But I really want to give it to you today. This is a masterclass in confidence, and I really want to give it to you today because you deserve to have a confidence as you move through building these dream careers, because you guys are going to get to experience some amazing stuff, and you want to be able to be there for yourself, right? You want to have that belief in your ability to figure things out, right? And taking your meds will help you with that, okay? So your meds are meditation, exercise, diet, and sleep. Okay, MEDS acronym: meditation, exercise, diet, and sleep. Now, meditation, however it looks like for you, I recommend doing the visualization that we talked about earlier, where you're meditating, you're visualizing yourself in the future, 10 years down the road, things are very successful, you're running the big tour, or you're operating and you're mixing Metallica, whatever it looks like to you. Do some visualization, because when you can get connected with your head and your heart, get it connected, you will feel more confident. Exercise, we just went over that one, very important. Your diet, crazy important, okay? And I'm not talking about having a diet that's going to be losing weight or this, that, and other. What I'm talking about is understanding how your body works and the foods that you eat, how they affect it, because we literally, by the way, we are what we eat. Not in a metaphorical sense, but in a literal sense. The same thing that food is made of, we are made of. At a cellular level, we are literally the same things as food. And all of that affects us in a positive or negative way. And so I'm going to offer you one book that changed my life, okay? Guys, I just said a book changed my life. I really hope you take heed at this book. The book is called Eat Smarter by Sean Stevenson. Okay, Eat Smarter by Sean Stevenson. All right, he's a podcast host, as well as I believe he's a nutritionist, but I believe he has a doctorate in nutrition. And his podcast is called The Model Health Show. But Eat Smarter is the book, and that's how I do it these days. You know, I don't diet. I just see my body in the foods these days, and that's what's giving me this energy, and that's what's feeding a lot of confidence. It really contributes to confidence. And then finally, your sleep. Now, this is something, especially in your career as a touring crew person, you're going to really oftentimes struggle with, but it goes back to controlling your schedule. There's enough time to get proper sleep on the road. Now, it's easy for some backline tech to say, because we obviously last one's in, first to leave, but there's plenty of backline techs that are tired out too, not getting enough sleep because they're staying up drinking or whatever they're doing. They're not actually having a good, or they're not having an exercise routine, definitely not a meditation routine, poor diet, and on top of that, poor sleep. And so it's important, like, for someone to say, well, you have to have 8 hours of sleep. Well, I don't know about that. I think for me, it seems about 7 hours. I feel pretty good. I don't know. I feel pretty good around 7 hours. I know some people that can do it around 6. I know some people that can do it around 8. That might need about 8. But I'll tell you this: you start sleeping less than 6 hours in a night consistently, and you're done for. You will be like a cooked chicken. Okay, you'll be like crispy critter. Like you won't even be able to function right, much less be confident, because it will catch up to you, because your body has to re-energize. It's a freaking machine, you know? And so you have to allow your body to re-energize, you know? One thing that I don't do on tours, because I know it makes me feel like crap the next day, is I don't eat the after show food. If you don't know what that is at the end of every show, they put food up on the bus for you to eat. Usually it's burgers and fries or pizza or barbecue or wings or whatever, wherever. Sometimes it's local fare. And a lot of times people work all day, and so they want to come and eat after show. But I'll just tell you, your body requires a couple hours of digestion. And if you're going to eat and drink alcohol and all kinds of stuff and then go lay down, your body is going to work like half the night trying to digest that food and rob you of the little sleep that you're already getting. So you can imagine a lot of these road people are showing up, they're dragging, they're definitely not confident, they're not bringing their full energy, they're not bringing their full selves, and they're just barely sometimes showing up. It's wild to me. But don't get me wrong, I have also been there, and I've learned this hard lesson. There's been multiple times many times over the years, especially my younger days, where I've done the drinking thing, I've done the eating thing, stayed up all night and go in to try to work. And it's just poor performance, low energy, low self-esteem, don't feel good about myself because the way I acted last night and the way I treated my body and my mind. And so it's important to understand that taking your meds, the acronym ME.D.S, is a really great way to assess, hey, why am I not as confident? I'm connected. What's going on? Am I meditating? How's my exercise? What about my diet? Like, am I getting enough sleep? Okay. And then finally, guys, support confidence. We can't do this alone. These careers that we're building, I always say this, people are the pathways to our possibilities. And I don't just say that as hyperbole. I say that because that is the truth, and a support system, having a support system of people that you can feed off of, like that's why crew coach is so dang valuable. How much more confident have you been just knowing that you're in the crew coach tribe? Just knowing that, like, when you run up against stuff in your touring crew career, because that you're committed to, that you have this platform, this team, this tribe, this support system to go to help you get the questions answered, to get the clarity that you need, to get the insights and the competencies that you need, and also to get the encouragement and the push, because sometimes our belief in our ability to figure things out starts to dwindle. And then we need things like this. We need support systems. We need to re-engage ourselves, and we need sometimes other people to help us engage ourselves. It's so valuable to have a positive partner. But remember something, the opposite can happen. The opposite can happen when you have the wrong support system, when you have people in your life that are trying to hold you back because they don't want you to change, they don't want you to grow, they don't want you to be different in the relationship that they have with you because they see that you're setting your sights on something bigger. And so they're going to try to resist you, try to hold you back because they love you. But it's important to understand that that can suck your confidence. All this hard work of getting in touch with who you are and why you are and your competencies and all these different things that we've just done, and you're going to have a support system that's robbing you of your confidence. So here's one way you can do that. First of all, you're doing it here in Crew Coach. That's a big, big thing. I want to commend you for that. And I want to also thank you for giving me the blessing to be that support for you. But another thing too is, this is going to sound a little weird, but I think that this will help you, especially if you're in a situation where you've got loved ones that you live with, maybe, or family or friends that are the people that are holding you back, that are the people that, for the sake of love, not necessarily encouraging you to go chase it. Compartmentalize, okay? And it's a little bit about kind of like tribalism, okay? The crew coach tribe, and then you've got your home tribe and your work tribe, okay? I used to always say, like, oh, I had friends until I started in this industry. And the reason why I would say that is because I would go back to like the town I grew up in, and I would start telling them, oh yeah, I got to travel around the world and I've been here, and oh man, it's been so cool. And not from a braggadocious way, but because they asked me like, hey man, how's work been? What have you been up to? Right? And then you start saying all of this stuff, and it's just kind of like, oh, okay. And then they think you're bragging, and then they think you're better than them, and all of this, and then they stop wanting to even talk about it, which can drain your confidence, because especially when that's your dreams and your aspirations and your goals and all the things that you're wanting for your future, and you can't even talk about it at home to your people that you're supposed to be supporting you. Understand something. This is not their world. This is a different language. Like, we're talking about traveling the world and working with all these artists and all of this. I mean, that's what we're doing. And that's not what they're doing. And that's okay. Not everybody has to be on the same page. And it took me a lot of years to really accept this and to learn this. But now I can go back to my old, friends, or even my family, by the way. Some of these people were my family. They wouldn't even want to hear about it. And I can compartmentalize. I just don't talk about that stuff. I just don't share that with them. You know what I mean? Not because it's not a part of me or I'm not confident or passionate about it, but because I'm reserving that for the people that are empowering. I'm reserving that for my support group. I'm reserving that for my crew coach tribe. I'm reserving that for my tour folks, because that's that tribe. And so sometimes it's hard for us to do that, because it's like we're all married, we're all blended to our personal and home lives. But understand, you can compartmentalize this, and it will help with your confidence. Your crew coach tribe, your work tribe, and your home tribe. Just split them up and be happy with the separate conversations. So you're not getting your confidence robbed over in this area and then have to come back and start all over and do the work. Because guys, it is work. This is all work. Everything that we share tonight is work. It takes work to do this stuff. But, I even posted this the other day. It's like, you knock on the door of your dream careers. Don't be surprised when work answers. It's work. And so is summoning and developing confidence. It takes work. And so let's just recap here, and we will be done with this career confidence training. Hopefully you guys have been loving this. Hopefully it's been awesome. I've had a really great time teaching this. Obviously, I'm super passionate about confidence, and you can see that I've came a long way. And now I'm able to really confidently serve you at the highest level, because I'm doing the work. And guys, I'm not perfect. I have days. Even today, I struggled a bit with confidently bringing myself to some of the tasks that I needed to get done and some of the goals. And, really outlining this workshop today helped with that. It really reminded me of the tools and the work that I have in front of me to be able to get control of this. I've got dreams to build. I've got dreams to inspire. So let's recap a little bit of this creating career confidence training, and I'll get you guys out of here. So confidence is your belief in your ability to figure things out, right? You give yourself enough time and resources, coaching and mentorship and study, you can freaking achieve it. At that deep psychological level, that confidence is your sense of self-worth and your sense of ability and your belief in yourself and the belief in your future self, right? Like, you've got self-confidence, your self-awareness is heightened. You know exactly how far you came. You honor the challenges and the obstacles and the struggles that you've been through, and you give yourself credit, maybe for the first time in your life, right? You give yourself credit for those challenges that you've overcome, and also the strength. You're good at stuff, and you're giving yourself credit for the things that you're good at. So you can actually also develop the things that you're not as good at, that you have the confidence to do so. You also are connected with a future you that is positive, that one that is inspiring, that inspires confidence. Your dreams are the things that are energizing you and helping you bring confidence, right? In social situations and in that social confidence, you're going to walk into those social situations and not make it about you. You're going to make it about the other person. You're going to walk right up to that production or tour manager, and you're going to take a few minutes at the what do they call it? The water cooler, right? You're not going to let those 7 out of 1,000 people that rejected you in your past stop you from a career-changing conversation. You're taking action. You've got momentum. You're congruent. Your intentions are actually congruent with your actions. And that momentum for showing up for yourself is creating confidence. You've got skills mastery. You are developing your competency. You are daily getting a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better, making yourself more confident to not just the skill itself, but the ability to obtain the skill. You're service focused, in conversation and in work and in whatever you do. It's not about you. It's about you giving to the other person so you can confidently step into the role of service. You're scheduling it in. You're in control of your schedule. You are in control of your time. Even around the requirements of you, you're scheduling those requirements in, and also you're scheduling the blocks around it, and you're scheduling personal development time. You're scheduling time to come in here and crew coach. You've got your meds. You've taken your meds. You're meditating, you're exercising, you're considering how food acts with your body and how your body is needing sleep because, you deserve the confidence that comes from having that energy. And also, and finally, the support system. You've learned how to have the right conversations in the right circles so you don't get your confidence robbed by people that just don't get it, that just don't get your dreams, that just don't get you. And that's okay. They don't have to, because you get you, and you have a tribe of people, a support system here in Crew Coach and in your work life and in your some other select people. You've got a support system that's going to help you dress the part, be the part, and bring confidence to your career. All right, y'all. That was our Creating Career Confidence training. I appreciate the heck out of you. Please tell me in the Crew Coach daily chat, go in Crew Coach and just tell us what was your takeaways from the Creating Career Confidence training. I really appreciate the heck out of you. And until next time, go get them.